having Jason Corrigan here,
Thank you very much.
who is a candidate for mayor of the grand city of Oneonta, City of the Hills. And I want to start out by asking you what, I think there was a good question in one of the debates, which is, which kind of can provide an introduction here, which is, what do you think your legacy would be after a year or two of being mayor? What is it that is your vision for the future of the city, and what would you like to be remembered for having accomplished?
Okay. Well, there's lots of that question, so let me break that down.
Okay.
First of all, on the very first day, it is my goal as mayor to reevaluate our entire city services, specifically the police force. We do need to launch an entire comprehensive investigation by re-interviewing all of the officers, looking over all allegations and complaints against any particular officer, against the city itself, and most importantly, what that does is bring us back to a clean slate. We can address all the concerns, all the issues, kill all of the hearsay.
Isn't there an independent commission being appointed to?
There is, but just like the idea that oil is organic and we constantly hire outside consulting firms when it's really the friends of the city's elite, I think that we need to do more than just rely on the words of our district attorney. I think that it's the mayor's job to provide safety, an environment for safety, and promote an environment for safety for the city of Oneonta. And I don't want to just accept anybody's word at face value. I need to take the initiative as mayor to make sure that the results are there, the results are being taken care of. So like I said, we need to investigate the allegations that currently exist, but also past allegations as well. I've met hundreds of residents. I've listened to dozens of concerns and complaints against our city's police force. I said in the very beginning of the selection that I understand that small situations can certainly blow out of proportion, but I'm also not naive enough to believe that if enough people are saying the same thing, that it's not true at all. So what I would like to do as mayor on the very first day is figure out what's hearsay, what's not, so that we can move forward on a clean slate and really start over again. We deserve that. The people of Oneonta deserve that. As far as my legacy, if after one term or two terms or however I am here for as mayor of Oneonta, I think my legacy will truly be two parts, and that's one, to have a completely open and upfront, transparent government that works with its people, for its people, 24/7. That's a must. The second thing is that we have to stop paying for just procedure and start paying for performance. Now, we've spent over $400,000 in the last 10 years for downtown development, and we have very little visible results. We've spent over $19 and received
How much was it?
$400,000.
Wow.
According to the city's own website, we have received over $19 million in state and federal grants for also downtown development. And again, we're not even beginning on Brazil's department store as far as what needs to be done for renovating that building. And we certainly don't see the mainstream retail outlets that we've been promised for the last 12 years. So that's got to be eliminated. We have to stop wasting our city's tax dollars, especially when there's the concerns of our property taxes going up because we're cutting in our reserves. So we have to figure out how we can save money in the budget by eliminating this useless, careless spending. And of course, as I mentioned at the debate, we got to stop just paying for our friends to do all of these jobs. We got to start paying for actually qualified, certified, independent companies that know what they're doing and will actually produce results.
Put out to bid.
Absolutely. Put out to bid. And, you know, as I talked about in the contract with our current downtown development, the person overseeing that contract has absolutely no certifications, no degrees in urban development or downtown development, and basically there was no bid process, as you said, and as I stated as well. And the fact that there was no bid process and we're hiring somebody that has no qualifications clearly demonstrates to me, as it should demonstrate to everyone else, that there was a planned agenda for the people that are overseeing this to come in, get the six-figure paycheck, and use that to whatever extent that they would like to. As far as the future for Oneonta and my goals for Oneonta, I see Oneonta as being perfect for becoming a main focal point in between the Binghamton region and Albany. I hear people from outside the region and within the region that are pleading for careers, that are pleading for entertainment programs, and we have the environment to produce all of this. But we haven't. We haven't for the last 12 years, and there's a reason for it. I see a world of opportunity with programs such as the Foothills Performing Arts Center and the Oneonta Theater. The fact that we have two prestigious academic colleges within our environment supports the notion that we can sustain this type of environment as well. If you look at Saratoga Springs, which is a community that we are constantly told to become one day in our future, if you look at their downtown, then you're looking at things at face value. They have a very successful downtown because they have developed and invested in the arts and entertainment programs. Yes, we do not have the Saratoga Horse Track or Gaming Way. Yes, we don't have Saratoga Performing Arts Center. But we do, like I said, have the brand new addition to the Foothills Performing Arts Center. And I have met with Jennifer McDowell, their new director, on a number of occasions. And together, we really do believe in the future for Oneonta. We believe in bringing in mainstream performances, whether it's musicians or theater productions, as a way to produce more tourism, but also to provide an alternative to the bars and the forms of entertainment that we have right now.
So how would you see yourself helping that process?
Well, my degree in communications and marketing allows me to have the right insight for how to market pretty much any opportunity that comes in. That's what I've been studying for the last 4 years of my life, comprehensively. Working with Jennifer, who has the experience of working in cities such as New York City and large projects on Broadway, together we really can come together and figure out how to reach out to, like, Madison Square Garden Productions, for example, as I've already reached out to them, and figuring out how to work with large other companies outside of our area to bring in and provide those musicians and theater productions to come into our community. In addition, going off on the Soccer Hall of Fame, just because I see that as an opportunity that we let slip out of our hands, if we market our resources to the extent that the greater New York region is finding out about what we have, that's the first step in marketing a brand new tourist base.
What's the first step?
Is actually promoting our events to the greater New York region, letting the outside area of Oneonta, such as the Capital Region and Western, Central and Western New York, know that we actually have these programs taking place. The next part is building off of that and then providing substance. And in substance, you need to bring in the actual mainstream music and theater productions. This can happen. I've met with Madison Square Garden Productions, as I said before, and together, just like I've done with the Governor's Office for passenger rail service, I've developed functional plans that can see this opportunity taking place once elected.
Okay. Now, on the rail proposal that you made,
Sure.
Of course, there's a lot of controversy whether it's realistic or it isn't realistic. And this is a little hard-hitting question, but
Sure.
yeah, you know, you're very much for transparency, and yet you're keeping your sources to yourself. So
Yes.
So how can we know for sure that this is something viable?
Well, the reason, let me address why I kept my sources to myself first. Over the period and extent of my campaign, I have come to realize through articles, through questions from writers at the Daily Star, that the Daily Star provides more of a viewpoint than they do news. A clear example of this is the fact that at the last forum that was held between myself and my opponent, Eric Miller, the press release that was sent out clearly stated that both I and Eric Miller did ask Dick Miller, my other opponent, to attend, and were very interested in doing whatever we needed to do for him to come. That was clearly presented in the press release, to which Dick Miller said, "Without an independent, bona fide third party, I will not be present." He chose not to come. That was indicated in the press release. The Daily Star then printed an article saying that the exact title was "Forum Poorly Planned," saying that in the press release that was sent out, there was no mention of Dick Miller not showing up. In fact, they said that it appeared on paper to the casual observer that he would be there, thus suggesting that me and Eric collaborated together in an effort to make Dick look bad. We don't care how Dick looks. Dick is the only person in charge of himself, and he chose not to come. The fact that the Daily Star manipulated that information that can be found on my website, unifyingoneonta.com, as you can find in campaign updates.